What's going, guys? Hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. So in this video, we're going to be talking about why Alibaba stock is down 6% just today, right? So we're going to look at the news article, and then I'm going to talk about my personal game plan and my opinion on the whole situation, right? So let's start off with the news article, right? So e-commerce giants Alibaba and JD.com tumble on news of strategic moves, right? So let's look at this. This sounds interesting, right? So two China-based stocks, Alibaba and JD.com, tumbled Monday as reports said the two planned strategic moves that investors apparently rejected, right? So despite the fall, Baba stock has stayed, okay, this is technical analysis, right? So JD.com and Alibaba are the two largest e-commerce companies in China, right? Baba stock dropped on speculation about whether China's equivalent of Amazon.com is moving its headquarters out of the country to Singapore. So Alibaba, based in Chinese city of Hangzhou, denied the reports. So you can already see that, even though they denied the report, and this news actually came out on the Hong Kong trading session, right? So it's not like the US markets didn't have time to price it in, right? So we'll see Hong Kong trading today, what are the effects of this news, right? But I don't think there'll be any big movements, right? Because this news came out yesterday in the midst of the Hong Kong trading session and nothing happened, right? It still continued going down, right? So the company acknowledged that it's building a new campus in Singapore, but said the facility would be used to house regional operations, right? So you can see why people are speculating about this, right? I think they mentioned on another article, I couldn't find the article again, that actually this Singapore campus can house up to 80,000 staff, right? So when it's 80,000 staff, you're talking about numbers like that. And you look at Alibaba's total staff, it's 240,000, right? And mostly based in China, right? So if you're talking about 80,000 staff in Singapore, really does make people question, oh, is this the new headquarters, right? So meanwhile, JD.com says it's closing its consumer e-commerce services in Indonesia and Thailand amid intense competition, right? So you can see maybe if you're a C investor, you'll be happy with this, right? Because actually C is pushing JD.com out of these markets, right? Maybe Alibaba is as well, right? So if we just take a look at the chart just for a while, right? Because I've always been talking about since somewhere around here when I sold my Alibaba stock options, I've been talking about this pullback, right? And maybe we are seeing this pullback, right? And actually, I'm quite glad I dumped those options now, right? Because even though you can see it's higher than it was when I dumped the options, right? Actually, the options are, I think, now 25% less valued than when I sold, right? So this is the volatility of options, right? Of course, up here, it was up maybe like 70% from where I sold it, and that hurt a bit, right? But you have to ask yourself, right, when is it time to sell, right? Because if it wasn't time to sell here, it wouldn't be time to sell here. And now I'll be sitting at a 25% loss from where I have sold, right? So my personal plan is I'm looking for a pullback up to this 200-day moving average, right? So some people might say, oh, you're just doing some astrology for men, also known as technical analysis. And yes, this is what you have to try to use when you try to time your entries, right? Because honestly speaking, I used to think technicals were quite useless, except when it comes to crypto, right? Because crypto doesn't trade that much off fundamentals, right? But I used to think technicals were quite useless, right? But if you look at the bottom, right, for this Alibaba stock, you can see that the bottom really coincided with all the technical analysis, right? So this technical analysis, this would have helped you catch the bottom here from the 2015 lows, I think. Yeah, this is the 2015 lows, and you can see almost perfectly. Of course, there was some good news here, but I'm sure the technicals would have helped you as well. And if we look at this, this technical level, trading as a lot of support, right? You can see this is the support that we had, and then we built here, and then we took this huge rally, right? So taking all that into account, maybe this has some predictive value, right? I wouldn't place too much emphasis on it, but it has some predictive value, right? So I'm looking for a pullback to this 92 level or 93 level, but I will start buying when it's 100, right? I think that's already a good price, and I think even now Alibaba is undervalued, right? So I'm trying to combine both fundamentals and technicals, right? Instead of just trying to use one or the other, right? So only time will tell, but I think running some backtests and looking at the data, right, and also my personal experiences, right, a lot of it I could have timed the entry better if I just waited for the technical levels, right? But again, I might be ignoring the ones that I basically don't see the technical levels, and then it doesn't get to the technical levels, and basically I buy anyways, right? So I'm not saying that I will buy on this technical level, and if it breaks, then I will sell and cut my losses, right? So that is not the kind of investor I am. I'm just using it to time my entries better, and maybe let's say I can time one tranche of entry here, and let's say it breaks lower, then I can enter here again, right? So this is the kind of thing I'm experimenting with. So as I said, right, I'm looking for a pullback to 93 this 93 level, but I would start buying at 100, right? So I will be buying some mix of options and also stock, right? So another point that I want to talk about regarding technical analysis, right? So you can see that the RSI here was around 78 when it was around $115, and the RSI was around 75 or 76 when it's $120, right? And what the RSI basically shows you is momentum, right? How far extended is this move, right? And normally when it passes this 70 range, it's not really a good time to be getting in the stock, right? Unless you're going for short-term momentum trades, or it's going crazy like Tesla did during 2020 and 2021, right? So first of all, we can see that the momentum is slowing down, right? But second of all, why can a rumor like this, right, bring the stock down 6%, right? And that is something you have to ask yourself, right? Because the reason I sold my options here was because I felt that the rally was going too fast, right? And sure enough, we can see this consolidation and break back down, right? And I think I wouldn't attribute it 100% just to technical analysis, but if some piece of fundamental news like this, which is, in my opinion, quite irrelevant, right? It's just rumors and already denied rumors, right? Can send the stock down basically, 6%, right? So that is something that is telling us that the stock is really overbought, and, any piece of bad information, right, can basically crush the stock, right? And that is where the risk reward is not in our favor, right? So that is perhaps where we want to scale back our positions. In this case, I didn't sell any of my Alibaba stock because in this case, I still felt that it was highly undervalued, even though it was running based on momentum. But if you're trading things like options, right, you have to really pay attention to small details like this, right? So this 5% or 6% move down, right, would crush your options, right? Basically, if you're trading like short dated options, your options will be down 50 or 40%, right? So it's crazy the amounts that these options can move, right? But that is something that I really wanted to add in, right? And in fact, this part of the video is edited back in because I missed this in the original video, right? But basically, what my point is that when things are starting to run too fast, get too hot or something like that, right? Just a little bit of bad news, right, can really crush the stock, right? And that is why you see during the dot-com bubble and all these other huge manias, right? What pricked the bubble, right, is just something small, right? Just like the Federal Reserve hiking interest rates can bring down Amazon stock, 90%, because once the decline starts rolling downwards, right, it's very hard to stop the decline and stem the decline, right? So I would say the top is always defined by a lot of momentum running into a bit of bad news, right? Because it's so overbought that a bit of bad news really pricks the bubble, and then when it starts going down, right, more bad news comes out because obviously earnings will slow during these times, right? Recession or whatever it is. And then I think the last period is really people just selling regardless of valuation. So I guess it's called capitulation, but basically it's people just selling regardless of the reasons, right? They don't have any good reasons for selling, but they've just lost so much money that they're just selling, right? And that is probably the stage that if we could time things perfectly, that's the stage that we want to get in, right? But if not, we just use fundamentals and say that this stock is undervalued combined with technicals, which I'm trying to do, that this is a good technical level to enter, and then we try and do that, right? So if you're enjoying the video so far, do help me smash up the like button, hit subscribe, and also hit the bell button and press on all, right? So this will really help out the channel, and also watch till the end, right? Because obviously you don't want to miss any important information. So now I want to talk about whether this sell down is actually rational by looking at Tencent stock, right? So if you talk about Alibaba dropping 6.1% because they're moving their headquarters, that is a valid concern for me, right? Because imagine all your business is done in China. So imagine the disruption to the business itself because, all the headquarters is no longer there. And then second, imagine the repercussion from the Chinese government, right? Because obviously, if you do all your business in China and you move your headquarters to Singapore, that is signaling something that the Chinese government is not right with you, or you are not right with the Chinese government, and also that even if there was nothing wrong going on, right, that would provocate the Chinese government, right? And you do see that they have a lot of staff in China, and most of their business is done in China, so it wouldn't bode well for their business, right? In fact, I think if they actually did that, the fair value of their business would probably drop by at least 30%, right, in my opinion. So I don't think they're doing that because personally, I think it's a really stupid move. But if we take a look at Tencent stock, right, why is Tencent stock down 7%, just like Alibaba stock? So this is where I want you to start to think, right? Is this a rational sell down? Because to me, this is not exactly a rational sell down, right? And I mentioned somewhere here that maybe I wouldn't get this chance, but maybe because of irrational reasons, I'll get this chance, right? And we'll have to look at the FOMC meeting that is coming out a few days from now. So I expect that the FOMC meeting will basically have a negative effects on the market, right? Because most of the good news is already priced in, right? Because people are expecting the Fed to come out and say, oh, one more 25 basis point hike, another one in, I think, March or April, and then we're done, right? So that is not what I'm expecting, right? And people are even expecting the Fed to cut rates down the year, right? And I expect the Fed to come out and really say that, oh, we're not going to cut rates, we don't have any plans to cut rates, and that will basically make the market tumble a little bit, right? And that will be, I think, a good buying opportunity. So if the Fed loosens their policies and say that, you know, we are looking into cutting rates, right? I think by that time, we'll be in deep recession, right? And the Fed doesn't want to loosen financial conditions because once they loosen it, inflation will come back, right? And I think this Jerome Powell really takes after Paul Volcker and the book Keeping at It, right? And this is the lessons learned from the 70s inflation, right? So we really have to look at the results from that and see what it is, right? Maybe it's a 50 basis hike. I think if it's a 50 basis hike, I think the markets are going to tumble really big, right? But I think even if it's a 25 basis point hike with negative commentary, I think the market will still tumble, right? So why do I say it's very irrational, right? Because if Alibaba is looking to move its headquarters out of China, right, what does this have to do with Tencent? So why is Tencent down in the trenches with Alibaba bleeding out 7% today, right? It makes absolutely no sense, right? So I've laid out all the facts. I hope you guys take this information and really think about it, whether it makes sense, whether this is a buying opportunity, or whether you want to dump your stocks or whatever it is. That is up to you, right? That's about all I wanted to share today. If you did enjoy the video, do help me smash up the like button, hit subscribe, and also hit the bell button. With that being said, have a fantastic day ahead, and peace out.